What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Hands-On channel. I don't have to tell you things are bad. I mean, if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, you know this is the worst it's ever been. I mean, this is just unavoidable cataclysm coming our way. And I don't know what form it's going to take. Is it going to be World War III? I mean, I just heard the other day that Russia is building up the most massive offensive that they've done since the whole launch of the Ukrainian war. So things are fixing to get really heated up over in Ukraine again. And of course, NATO is running a proxy war over there. So we're inadvertently involved in this thing, even though we don't want to be involved in it. And most people here in the United States with a good head on their shoulders are calling for peace talks, things like that. But the people that are in power right now have actively thwarted peace talks in the past. NATO has thwarted peace talks with Ukraine and Russia. So I don't know what they're thinking, trying to start a fight with the bear, the other nuclear superpower in the world, but they're doing it. They're going full force. We've seen the big, huge balloon that could have carried an EMP. Maybe it was a test run. Maybe it was a dry run. Maybe they were scanning our important military installations where we have missile silos and things like that. No one really knows. Biden let it go all the way across the United States and then blew it up in the ocean out off of South Carolina, I believe, or North Carolina. But anyway, he finally blew the thing up. And then after that, we're hearing all these reports of like 3 other, what they're calling UFOs, which I find very interesting. They're using that language. You know, of course, it just means unidentified flying object, but the mainstream media is pushing this as some sort of alien invasion or something like that. And that makes me think that they're basically trying to make us look the other way. They're trying to wave something over here, a balloon in the air, literally, follow the balloon, watch for the balloon. And meanwhile, they're doing all this other stuff. So I think it's a massive distraction. It does raise questions. Who runs these balloons? Who owns these balloons that are going around that they're calling UFOs? Why are they calling them UFOs? Why, you know, just so many questions about this balloon situation that we could be here all day on this video about just the balloons and what's going on there, what their capabilities are. Could they possibly carry some superbug, a new weaponized strain of COVID? I mean, a lot of people think they released it from the lab. I mean, would you put it past them to do, the Chinese, would you put it past them to do something like this? How do we know they're Chinese? Could they be Russian? I mean, who knows? Our borders are porous. Our southern border especially is porous. And I just read an article 2 or 3 days ago that they're finding all these Chinese nationals coming in across the border. Does that raise alarm bells to you? I mean, is this some sort of an invasion? Is the Chinese army running some sort of an invasion on the southern border without our knowledge, and then they're running all their balloons over through the sky to distract us in that front? I don't know. We've seen several chicken factories around the world having massive problems, whether they explode, whether it be the avian flu, whatever. But don't worry. Pfizer has got a new drug out. The FDA is working on a new vaccine to give all the commercial chickens. And they're talking about mRNA vaccination. And it reminds me, a little while back, I remember hearing Bill Gates and some other people talking about how they were going to put the mRNA vaccines in the food we eat. So we don't even have to go down and get a vaccine. It'll just come to you in the food you eat. Well, maybe, is this what they meant? I don't know. I can only speculate. Now they're talking about vaccinating all the commercial chickens in the United States. And that's going to cause some problems because other countries won't buy those chickens. So it's going to narrow the market. It's going to make the market less profitable for, you know, commercial farmers here in the United States. Is that part of the goal? Breaking all of our systems at once? It seems like that's what's going on. The dollar is in massive trouble. Massive trouble. You can't just keep printing and printing and printing and not expect this to eventually come a calling. It's coming. The debt is coming. Where I saw an article a day or two ago, it's really close right now. Our national debt, just the interest on maintaining the debt, is fixing to surpass the Social Security budget. So these people are hell-bent on destroying the United States of America. You should prepare now, whether that be You know, getting yourself some backyard hens, that'd be a great start. Get yourself some rabbits, you know, produce meat in your own backyard. It's easy to do. They don't stink a lot. They're fairly easy to clean up. If you've got an extra 30 minutes to an hour a day that you could dedicate to taking care of your backyard livestock, your poultry and your rabbits and I'm getting into quail, hopefully. That's what I'm working on back here. I've got a frame for a quail cage. We're trying to do everything we can because we feel it coming. I'm sure you do too. If you're watching this video, especially this far into the video, you feel it coming too. There's some sort of, I don't know if it's the quickening, I don't really know what to call this, but things are happening at a much faster pace than they ever have before. And they're catastrophic things. I mean, just unbelievable stuff that I've seen over the past 2 weeks. With just the balloon thing. Again, that was such a big debacle with all these balloons being shot down. One of them was shaped like an octagon and had all kinds of sensors on it and stuff, but they're not telling us anything about it. And some would argue the reason they're not saying it's Chinese balloons is because they don't want to make China have to respond. So if the United States comes out and says, yes, it's another Chinese balloon, then China will have to say something in response to that. So maybe that's why they're doing it. They're laying low, and it's some sort of strategical thing to keep this from escalating out of control and spinning out of control. China has already made their intentions clear. They're in with Russia. We're against Russia because we're in with NATO. So battle lines are being drawn. If you want to look at it as the Axis versus the Allies, I mean, I don't know how you want to look at it, but the world is being split up into factions. The pro-BRICS groups, the Russia, China, Iran, all these other countries that are on that side. And it's a lot more than you might think. They're abandoning the oil, petrodollar. They're abandoning and getting away from the petrodollar because they realize that's what has given the United States its power and its wealth around the world for decades and decades and decades. And once that goes away, all this debt is going to come home to roost. All these chickens are going to come home to roost. These people that have been gaining power and just spinning us into oblivion and printing us into oblivion, it's going to come back on us. And it already is partially here when you go to the store and you have to pay $5 for a dozen eggs, when you have to pay over $5 for a gallon of milk, whatever it may be, when you're buying that steak or you're putting that steak back because you can't afford the steak anymore. That is the debt coming home to roost. That's what this is in the form of interest. And it seems that the people that are in power right now are hell-bent on making that as painful and fast as possible. They're trying to do it as fast as they can. And I've said before that I think Biden is the ultimate Manchurian candidate because later on, the Democrat Party will be able to save face and say, oh, we didn't know he had dementia. Oh, we didn't know. We didn't know it was that bad. They're already kind of doing that. The whole deal about the classified documents that have come out, I mean, was the balloon thing a distraction from Hunter's laptop, the revelations that are coming out about that, and the fact that Biden had all this classified information all over in every one of his, ritzy houses around the country? I mean, could that be it? Is that why they were like, release the balloons? I don't know, but you guys feel it. Things are heating up. Biden's talking more and more about banning what he calls assault weapons, and he's including semi-automatic pistols in that list. That's how they did it over in England. That's how they did it in Australia. They came after semi-automatic and handguns and things like that. And they said, oh no, we're not coming after your granddad's, bolt action rifle. That's up to you. You can keep that. You can still defend yourself with that. You don't need a handgun with 17 rounds in the magazine. No, you don't need an AR-15 with 30 rounds in the magazine. What you need is your granddad's bolt action that holds 3 to 5 rounds, whatever, right? That's what they're telling you. Oh, we're never going to come after those. And then what do? As soon as you give up the semi-autos, they come after the revolvers. They come after the lever actions. They come after the bolt actions, because at the end of the day, it's all about disarming a free citizenry. That's what it's been about in every instance around the world that this has happened. And as soon as they disarm you, maybe not immediately, they might let a little time go by and let you realize that you're a slave now. You have no right to self-defense. You have no right to private property. You have no right to anything under this new authoritarian, totalitarian rule. So guys, we've got a lot of big battles coming. Right here in the United States, it's going to be a battle to keep our Second Amendment uninfringed. Shall not be infringed. It's frickin' crystal clear to people that have eyes to see and ears to hear. But these other people, these bleeding heart liberals, are out there saying, oh, well, that's not what the Founding Fathers meant by the Second Amendment. They didn't even have AR-15s back then, so that means they couldn't have possibly anticipated that technology in firearms would advance to the point where you have firearms like we have today. And that's BS. They did have some knowledge that firearms were advancing in that direction, and they still signed the Second Amendment into law, the law of the land. So, guys, it's time we start getting back to the Constitution, to the Bill of Rights, and to get back to the Bill of Rights, you have to know what your rights are. You have to know what those rights are, what they meant. You might have to do some research into, like, what did they mean by, shall not be infringed? What did they mean by, freedom of speech and freedom of religion and things like this? I believe the Founding Fathers had the right set of ideals when they implemented this country, and I'd like to keep it. The people that are in power now, they don't want to keep it. They want to tear it down. They'll even tell you as much in their chants and stuff like that. I'll never forget that chant. No borders, no walls, no USA at all. That's what all of these people that are on the extreme left believe in their hearts. You and I, we want borders. We want to protect our country, but they want to kick them wide open. I mean, there have just been so many things that have happened along the southern border. I told you last week about the farmer down there, the rancher, that basically they gave him $1 million bail. Well, it turns out that rancher, I got to fill you in case you didn't see that story. There was a rancher down in Arizona, I believe, right on the border. He's owned this land all his life. Some illegals came onto his property. One of them pointed an AK-47 at the farmer. The farmer pulled out his sidearm or whatever he had on him and smoked the dude. That's what's supposed to happen. Guess where the farmer is? He's sitting in jail because there's a liberal judge down there in Arizona that has no law background or law degrees or anything like that. Never has been a lawyer, and he was an appointed judge. And of course, he was appointed, I think, by Obama. So that kind of makes a lot of sense of why it's going this direction. And that's one of our problems. We've got to get these people somehow out of the positions of power in the deep state, including the judicial section, the judicial side of the deep state. We've got to get these people that have been appointed as political enemies to the Constitution and the United States of America and the citizenry of the United States of America. We got to get them out and replace them with good people. And I don't know how we do that, but that's what we have to do all across the board. And until we do that, we're going to continue falling off the cliff towards the abyss. There's going to be a point when we're going to pass that point of no return where it's too late to save the United States of America and our founding principles and ideals. And you'll just be that crazy old coot out on the corner talking about the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and no one will know what you're talking about because they haven't been taught about the Constitution. In fact, they will be, at that point, they will have been taught about the Constitution. They'll be taught it's racist, misogynist, homophobic, on and on and on. Because at the end of the day, they're not trying to cancel me and you. They're trying to cancel the future of America, the Constitution. The Constitution is what they're trying to cancel. Our founding principles, the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, everything in between and after. They want to cancel them all and take ultimate control and implement tyranny and authority over your lives, over every aspect of your life, and move you into a 15-minute city where you can be controlled even easier. Once you're there in that city, in that grid, you'll never escape. So anyway, guys, what I'm doing to avoid all of that is I'm building myself some quail cages. I'm getting into something that I've never done before. We're going to start raising quail. I'll let you know how that goes as we delve into that journey. Today, I just discovered my 2 does, my rabbits. They both had kits last night, so that'll be meat in our freezer that we'll be able to use to keep ourselves alive, especially if, no matter what, we'll eat it no matter what, because we're not going to waste an animal. But if things get worse and worse and worse, that is our plan to self-sustainability and being able to not starve to death. Because that's how these communists in the past have always done it. They starve people out. They take control of the means of production and they starve their political enemies out. Don't let yourself be one of those people that gets starved to death. Do something today. And it's beyond just going to the store and stocking up and prepping up. You need to do that too. But you need to look at things that are going to make you more self-reliant, less dependent on the grid, less dependent on the grocery store. And each different person, depending on where you are, your geography, your location, the temperature, the climate there, that's going to determine what you can grow and what kind of animals you're going to be able to have, things like that. But do your research now. This summer, my opinion, this could be it. This could be when SHTF really comes crashing down. And I don't know if it'll be the economy, the dollar collapsing. I don't know if if they'll send a surge of, Chinese soldiers up through the southern border, or Chinese and Russian soldiers up through the southern border. I wouldn't be surprised by anything at this point. So guys, let me know what you think about all this. I know we were all over the place here and we talked about many different topics, but that's because we're on the precipice of complete collapse. Everything is coming crashing down. I know you feel it. I know you feel it. Do what you can to protect yourself and your family. Stock up now. Start meeting with like-minded preppers. Be sure to screen them so that you're not just opening yourself up to, potential marauders coming and taking your stuff. Be sure to know, who you're talking to. It'd be good if it was like one of your best friends you've known all your life and you guys are both on the same page and you know what the other person's thinking. That would be the best situation. But you got to start making contacts and making friends with farmers, with preppers, with other people around your community. Think locally. Try to go out and knock doors, talk to your neighbors. Don't go and shock them with a whole bunch of crazy stuff right out of your mouth, but just go kind of probe them and say, hey, you ever look around and just think, man, this place is going to hell in a handbasket. What are we gonna do about this? And just kind of see what side of the aisle they're on, and that will tell you whether or not it's likely for them to be a prepper or not. I would argue the majority of preppers are conservatives. Not all. There are some liberal preppers out there, but the majority, vast majority, are conservative. So if you can figure out, maybe your neighbor has a, Donald Trump flag or a sticker or something, well, that's going to be a good, or an American flag. If they have an American flag waving, that's a good indication that those are going to be friends of the patriot. So guys, do what you can to build up your prepper community, because I think we're going to need it real soon. Have your comms in order. Have your everything, all your preps, your extra clothes, your extra socks, your extra boots, everything, extra glasses if you need to wear glasses or contacts or things like that. Get your dental stuff, everything that you can get done right now while the system is still up and running. Please get it done, because once that switch is turned, once that switch is flipped, I fear a lot of our neighbors are going to turn on each other out of fear of not being able to survive, of never seeing anything like this before. Especially people in the cities are going to flip the hell out. And when they do, they're coming to the suburbs. They're coming to your prepper community. You better have some boomsticks and know how to use them, and plenty of ammo to be able to defend your preps, because at that point, that is your livelihood. So anyways, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. Let me know what you're doing down in the comments to get ahead of this collapse of everything, because that's what it feels like is coming to me. Do you agree? Let me know. Am I wrong? If I'm right, hit the thumbs up. If I'm wrong, hit the thumbs down. Whatever you think, let me know down in the comments. I think we need to have an adult conversation about all of these issues and not keep sweeping them under the rug. I could cover the chemical thing, the explosion out in Ohio, but I think we'll save that for another video. Anyways, guys, watch out. It's getting worse and worse and worse out there every day. And I feel the tension just among other people as I'm going out into the community and stuff. I feel the tension is on a level I've never felt before in my life. So stay strong. Keep prepping. God bless you. God bless the United States of America as founded. I stand for liberty. I hope you do too.